Good evening, Blues. We're here. Me and the
Here we are.
Robster are back for our Goodison memories. How are you, the Robster?
Absolutely fantastic, my friend. Missed you all. Well, I've seen you for a few pints over the last couple of months, but missed all our buddies. Salute
We
you,
have.
salute you.
We have. We've been sticking with the Blues through thick and thin. Good
Yeah,
on yous.
mate. And like we survived like weeks ago.
I know,
That's why
yeah.
I'm smiling.
I think I've got less grey hairs, Robster. You know what I mean? I think you might
Yeah,
agree with you.
we won't go into that one. I had a shave before, and I put my best aftershave on just for this live stream.
Is it a scratch and sniff podcast stream, is it?
Mate, it's a ood from the UAE.
Right, so we'll get straight into it. Right, so we're obviously here to talk about our Goodison memories and the viewers' Goodison memories. So the Robster, obviously, I've got a few years on me, the Robster, but what's your earliest Goodison memory?
Well, it'd be interesting to see if any of our wonderful viewers out there can go. I'm sure they will go earlier than 68. So I was 7 years old at my first game.
Yeah.
So can anyone beat that? Because we're going to talk about a few facts and a few statistics and a few. Well, we're going to talk about some players as well, aren't we? Because we've got to. We can't just talk about the stadium.
Well, no. Although I'm like that myself. I'm like, do I watch the game? Because I don't go the game no more, Rob. You know what I mean? I used to go, but I don't go no more because I'm usually working on the Ubers. But I was thinking, so do I watch the game at home, and then have a little wander down to the ground? But it's not what, Rob. And this might sound a bit daft to people, but I don't know whether I'd be able to cope with it.
Yeah. Have I gone dark, by the way?
No, it's probably just the sun. It's quite, sun goes dark early over there, doesn't it?
It does, mate. That's bizarre, isn't it? Stand by. A few technical problems there.
Robbie's.
Yeah, 68 friends. I went to my first game, Tottenham. My brother took me because he was a Blue. So basically, it was a member of your family, wasn't it, who took you to your first game? And if they'd have supported another club, then we wouldn't be sitting here now.
No.
And I was all excited. Used to have a scarf on each hand, on each
Back in the
arm.
day, that's what you used to
One
do.
down my neck. Yeah, in fact, sometimes I'd have more than one on my wrist. And we never even scored on the first game. 0-0.
My earliest memory was, I think it was, if I remember rightly, I think it was around about 77. I think the viewers might correct me if I'm wrong, but I went to watch Everton Rezzies against Man United Rezzies. It was absolutely freezing cold.
You got in for free then, didn't you? Didn't you used to get in for free for the reserves?
Well, obviously I went with my half fella, so I didn't know whether he paid or not. But if it was free, that's probably why I ended up going there.
Yeah, if you had the season ticket, mate, you got into the reserves for free.
Yeah, well, my half fella had the season ticket for years.
Yeah.
But I remember stood there in the main stand, absolutely freezing cold, thinking to myself, "What am I doing here?" Do you know what I mean? It's freezing cold, but Everton battered Man United 5-0, and I was like, "That's why I'm here." You know what I mean? And I fell in love with the Blues from then.
Yeah, it's in '68, mate. The actual Everton first team beat Man United 5-0.
Did they?
Well, I wasn't at that game, unfortunately. So I got my first season ticket off me dad as a Christmas present in '69. Within the season, we'd won the league. So it was like
some great players over them days, Rob, didn't you?
Like your first season ticket, and you win the league. It was like I kind of, because it was all new to me. I couldn't kind of comprehend why every week everyone was happy and we were just tonking everyone. Do you know what I mean? It was just like that was only 2 points for the win in them days, 2 points and 1 point for the draw, but they were absolutely like awesome. And then you had Ball, Kendall,
Kendall
and
Hardy.
Hardy in the midfield. Oh my God! Do you know what? I used to just watch, and I just watch Alan Ball. I even bought, saved up with me pocket money. I used to have a paper round then illegally because it's supposed to be 13. And I saved up and bought myself a pair of white boots, just like Alan
Did you,
Ball.
yeah? Belters.
50
Yeah,
pence a week it was on, mate. 50 pence a week doing a paper round
I
at the
remember
age of
me.
9.
I remember my dad saying to me that Alan Ball was the best ever player he's ever seen playing at Everton. He said
Yeah.
he was just phenomenal.
It was, it's only like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it at the time because it was like, it was great. And he could do all kinds of tricks and score cracking goals. But it's only later on in life when you go, how special was that? Because at the time, you kind of living the memory through a time zone at the present time. Later on, you got your memories and you go, oh my God, how good was he? How good was that?
Yeah.
And everyone was gutted when he got sold. But then politics, mate, politics gets involved with football big time, doesn't it? And he shouldn't have gone when he went because he didn't want to go. There's another one who didn't want to go, but
No.
I think there was
And
a
you know
fallout.
what? I think what I, I think it's a bit of a shame that he didn't come back as in some managerial capacity. Do you know what I mean? He was at Southampton. I think he was at City as well. He managed at City as well, didn't he?
Can't recall that one, friend.
I'm sure he managed Man City at one point.
Yeah, just he had that that kind of Sean Dice tone of voice as well, didn't he?
Yeah, gravelly voice. Yeah,
Yeah,
like he'd been drinking bags of cement. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, we've witnessed some fantastic and some not so fantastic times at Goodison. But you know what? It's going to be sad to see it go. But we've got to move on, and we need to generate more money, haven't we, Rob? And it is going to be a sad day on Sunday. But we've got the memories, haven't we? Like I was there when Wayne Rooney scored his first ever goal against Arsenal. Absolutely, the roof came off. I mean, when Lee Carsley scored the winner against the Red Shite, I was there
yeah,
then. You know,
yeah,
and the scenes. You know, you watch the Red Shite, right? And you see them on the telly, and when they score a goal, there's like 10 million phones out. At Everton, it's just limbs, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's not a phone to be seen.
yeah. But
And
you know
that's
why
the
they've got the
beauty
phones
about
out,
it. What,
mate?
mate?
You know why they've got the phones out? To check in the times of the flights home.
Yeah. That's probably the first and last time you'll ever get there. So they've got to record it for prosperity.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is right. It's not pie in the sky. We all know the score, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. So what about the views? What's the viewers? What's their earliest memories of Goodison? I'm having struggling seeing my comments here, Rob. 'Cause I've got some bloody banner in front of them.
Kevin Kraft is saying his nickname is Budgie.
Alan Ball.
Yeah. Where's the Budgie one coming? Because on my screen I've got share your referral link with the dollar sign. I'm not even clicking that because I'll get straight through to Western Union. I'll get scammed. Not having it.
Good
Going blind,
evening,
Wes.
madam.
Hey, Mabsy's gone. You're going blind, Wes.
I can't even see the maps. You can't even see the comments because this bloody dollar signs in front of it says
Oh,
share
so I'm
your
glad.
referral link.
Yeah, I'm glad you've got it because there's someone behind the scenes from somewhere else
Yeah,
trying to scam us online. They are live.
yeah. Every time I can't see the comments because this bloody thing's in the way, maps. So it's not. I'm not ignoring all the comments and
Yeah.
all your comments are
Oh,
welcome.
yeah,
But
come online, babes. Okay. Yeah. Got
I
our neighbours
literally,
staying.
who is it?
Got the kids next door going. Oh yeah, do you want to get a? Do you
You
want
want
to
to get
get
a
on
gag?
the screen? Yeah. I'll give them an Everton shirt after this. So
Oh,
yeah,
well,
it's like ask if Ryan knows how to get shut of that Zola share your referral link. That'll be great if he can get shot of that.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
right.
it is Mabsy.
All right,
Mabsy,
lads, how you doing?
Oh, you get shut of that? Can't see the comments.
Get shut of what? What, are you on your phone? Or I can get them up. You want me to just get them up for you?
Yeah, get that
I'm on
share
my
giving
phone.
prayer link off if you can, please.
Let's have a look.
We don't want to get scammed.
No, that's fine.
You want to
Share
get
your prayer
scammed.
link. I don't know.
There's plenty
I'm
out
trying
there.
to do it, but no,
You wanna
it's
see-
on. They can't see it. So
I know, but we can't see the comments.
can't you move it up and down?
No.
I don't know how that. Ryan's probably done something, then Ryan. So
Kevin's just said it's Rob's neighbour.
I just popped his head over the fence.
Yeah.
yeah. So
It wasn't.
I've missed the first bit. Like, so what's been going on?
Robbie's just been talking about his first memories of Goodison, getting taken back to the first ever game. What was he say? It was 66, Rob?
68, mate, 68.
68.
Oh, bastard.
0-0.
66,
A
0-0.
0-0 draw. But Spurs were a top team then. For Everton to get a draw, it was that was deemed as a good result. It was a good point because Tottenham were like, they had some quality in the team then.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Maka.
do you want me to control the comments while you
Yeah,
like?
you sort the comments, Mabs.
Yeah, sound.
And if money goes out my bank, I know who it is. It's Mabsy.
Absolutely, you've got to afford to live somewhere, Rob.
Kevin saw both Alan Ball both for England and Everton.
Wow.
Lucky fucker, Kevin.
Absolutely amazing.
That would have been amazing. Like,
yeah,
I think.
I mean, I'm sad to say I'm not old enough to remember him playing.
Yeah, whatever.
I am not.
Don't lie, lads.
I'm only 53.
Priceless.
I'm not even drawing my pension yet.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about the news today then?
Was this about the ladies playing that?
Yeah.
Do you know what? If that's what they want to do, mate, let them. I think it's good for the women's game. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's going to look a bit daft when Goodison's like got about 5,000 or 6,000 fans in there, isn't it?
Well, as I say, that's if they even get 5,000 or 6,000 fans. You know, they can't at the moment fill out Walton Mill Park on a regular basis, and that's only 1,500. So it's just mind blowing, to be honest. I don't get it. What's happening?
I don't get it. I don't. But hey, that's another side of the club, isn't it? So yeah, crack on.
Yeah,
Mr. Blue Skies has asked if he's been in the new ground.
Mabsy has. I haven't.
I was lucky to get a phone call at midday today to say, I've got something that you might like. I said, oh, what's that? Is it a pint of Guinness or a peach lager in the Baltic Fleet? I'll meet you in the Titanic. I thought, aye. So I actually got I got a little bird's eye view today with someone who I've known for 30, 40 years, but I've not seen him for 10 years.
So did you have a wander around, or you just seen it from the Titanic?
Yeah, no. Mate, my eyes aren't that good.
You had a little wander around, did you?
Yeah, the little wonder. I'll send you some of the pics and the vids later.
Yeah. Well, my sister who lives over in Australia, as you know, she's coming over for next year, for a couple of years. So she's going to be doing a bit of traveling around Europe because she's retiring. Going to be doing a bit of traveling around Europe, and she's going on a world cruise with her husband for however long that is. But with it being the ex-head of marketing for Everton, she still knows a good few people at the club. So she's hoping to get some tickets, folks, so we can go to the game in the new ground.
Okay, mate. That'll be nice.
You'll be able to go to the old ground as well, mate.
Hey?
You'll be able to go to the old gaff too.
No, I did my fair share of watching women's footy when I was over in Australia, went to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So that was good, actually. That was good, got to be honest. I enjoyed that.
What was your first year, Mabsy?
My year was when I was probably 16. My parents, like, my dad's were like a blue. But where with me? My dad was a blue, like, and obviously, and didn't want to take me to the games because it was kind of like, back. I think football hooligan was right, and he was just worried about going and stuff. And then we went to, I think, to Aston Villa at Goodison, so it would have been what, early 2000s. And I remember I was like going in and just like, wow. And I just thought to myself, how mad's this? Like, the picture's so small. You know what I mean? When you see it on TV in comparison, and then I remember one thing that sticks in my mind is Lower Gladys. And the electronic scoreboard they had on top of the park end.
Yeah.
No, before the game, they were testing it out, and it said Everton 99, Aston Villa 0.
One used to
I would
flash
have
out with
loved
the
to have taken
ball.
a photo of that, but that was before fucking smartphones and stuff.
One that used to flash out with the ball when he'd scored a goal.
Yeah,
And it used to go, come on, you Blues.
yeah,
Wes,
absolutely.
do you remember them games when Everton used to tongue teams by 7 and 8-0 and 7 and 8-1 at Goodison?
Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, in the 80s and that, the team was absolutely phenomenal. And they were, realistically, they were a bunch of nobodies. And Howard Kendall turns them into one of the best teams. If you're a bit younger than me, like the likes of Mabsy probably, as an old enough to remember the 80s. Do you know what I mean? But back in the day, Rob, they were just fantastic, weren't they?
Well, that game, we're talking about Goodison memories. It actually felt like the place was actually moving. 1985 against Bayern Munich, we drew 0-0 over there, and then the second leg was at Goodison. So it was on a knife edge, wasn't it? And let's face it, they've remained a top team, haven't they, Bayern Munich?
Well,
whereas we fell apart, didn't we?
Yeah,
we don't know why then.
That was the reason.
Not on the night.
But that was the reason why people were saying we would have went on and won the European Cup the following year, because they were the best team in Europe at the time, Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And we absolutely steamrolled them at Goodison. You know what I mean? And then obviously what happened and we got banned. So Peter's first memory of Goodison was about 4 or 5 years old back in 2002, and my dad took me on the shoulders and that was the first goal he ever scored. That was at that game as well, Peter. What a goal
so
that
was I. Yeah, remember that. Also, it must have been then. So I was a season ticket older than Parkend then. So it must have been like 99 then. To be fair, I went then. Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, that goal was just something else. I remember us at uni, and I kept, like, I had a laptop and everything, and I always keep harping back to that. Like, used to play it all the time. Grab us from forward, Rooney instant controlled. Fancies the chances. Oh, a wonderful goal! A wonderful goal!
Who got the assist?
Grabberson forward. Just said that.
Yeah.
Grabberson forward, Rooney instant controlled. Fancies the chances. Boom.
Do you know
top
what?
Bins, isn't it?
We was when me and Robbie met Kevin Campbell, God rest his soul. We was talking about that game, weren't we, Rob?
Yeah.
And I pissed him off a bit, didn't I? Because he said who was the first person he jumped on when he scored the goal. And I'd had a few pevies, hadn't I, Rob? You know what I mean? And we was having a bit of banter with Kevin Campbell. Don't get me wrong. And then he got someone. I think it was it Chris Domino got the video up, and I just seen him jump on some black fella. I went, isn't that Darren Bent? Meaning Marcus Bent, because I was bladdered. And he went, Darren Bent, and he next minute he had his coat and he was getting off, didn't he?
Fucking hell! That I mean, can't believe that I can see is like, oh, wow, jealous that day when he told us.
Who? Kevin Campbell.
Yeah, it was just the chance. It was just a chance to meet him. To be honest with you, I'm not shy in going forward. It was just a little go over and just all I asked for when he finished with his partner was just a quick photograph, because we thought he was iconic at Goodison, and he came over to us, Because I went sat back in my chair then and just thought, you know what, if he comes over, great. If he doesn't, then at least I tried. And we must have been there 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
It's just thinking.
Easy.
He was chatting about Franny Jeffers. He was chatting about Turkey, and his love for Everton and Arsenal were on an equal par. He said that. He said, "I love Arsenal." He said, "But I love Everton." He said, "Because they rescued me from some horrendous situation that he got himself into." Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I questioned it on because the rumours that went round at the time was that he left for he was getting racist abuse over there, but I think he'd had a falling out with the owner of Trabzon Sport, and that was why he left. And he said, I never got any racist abuse from the fans there. He said they had a falling out with the owner, and that's why he came on loan from there. And but the rest is seeing it. The partnership he had with Franny Jeffers was one of the best I've ever seen at Everton. You know what I mean? Because
and he was discussing that, Wes, wasn't he? He was discussing that on the night. He was telling us his little pep talk with Franny because he was kind of like the senior striker, if you know what I mean. And Franny was learning the ropes, could still score goals, but from Kevin Campbell. And he'd say to me, "Look, you do this, I'll do that. I'll do that, you do this. Just follow me lead." He said, and it just worked. He said, sometimes it doesn't. He said, you look like two dickheads, but it just worked.
Yeah. I think he said, if I remember right, he said we asked him who was the best partner he'd ever had, and he said Alan Smith, which we were surprised with, weren't we?
Yeah.
But I think if he'd have had more time playing with Wayne Rooney probably would have been top of that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he knew Rooney was going to be a superstar, didn't he? He said that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fantastic guy. He said I had all the time in the world for us, didn't he, Rob?
And Mabsy, 6 months later, mate, he's no longer with us. After that night when he was
just
as fit as, and like, I don't know what behind the scenes, because you don't know what you don't know, do you? And we were like, oh my God, what's happened there?
Just you're losing Kev was I think it was a big shot to everyone, and it's hard I think it's still hard, to be fair, for us. It was just shock, wasn't it? Absolute shock that he's sadly no longer with us, and you just think when your numbers up, your numbers up. I mean,
I think I think that like he'd be fondly remembered by Evertonians, and I think his sort of his legacy at Everton probably go on forever. People will talk about him forever, won't they? You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, when he came, he dragged us out the shit. We were deep in the mire, and he came and scored the goals. Really, and he got a contract, and I said to him on the night, to be fair to him, right? I said to him on the night, people thought that you came there the first season on loan, scored the goals, and then you got your contract, and you basically played for the contract, scoring the goals. You got your contract, and then you didn't score as many goals the next season. And it just seems to us Evertonians, all you was after was a contract, and he was a bit taken aback by it, weren't he, Rob? But what you see, what you get with me. You know what I mean? I'll say it from the heart.
Wes was pissed, and he's fronting Kevin Campbell.
Yeah. You what, lad?
Kevin
it was a chat that he probably hasn't had with anyone else, to be honest with you. I think that's fair to say. And he gave as good as he got. Because at some point, it was, I won't say it was arguing over the table, it wasn't, but it was like, it got a bit heated over what we were discussing and what he was discussing. But it was just in the moment. It was priceless. While we're sipping beer as well.
There was not a malicious or nothing like that in it. I didn't mean it to offend him, you know what I mean? But at the time, as an Evertonian, as probably a lot of Evertonians thought at the time, his goal scoring dropped off the season that he got a contract. And I was just, he was there, and I just laid it out, and that's how I felt at the time. And I just thought that maybe I was speaking for a few Evertonians. You know what I mean?
So what's the name? Where's fronted Kev over that one, and I fronted Selena over the Duncan Ferguson goal while I was in
Oh,
Stuttgart.
I was at that game as well.
Yeah, that wasn't a brown envelope, was it?
No, that was all. We don't want 5 teams in the Champions League.
Exactly. So let's get back to Goodison again then.
Okay, Mark Forrest there was March 1985. Well, yeah, was only one at the time. Barcelona 2-0. Goals from Sharpie and Gray. Well, that was a team, wasn't it? In the
They were
80s,
up front. They were a top striking duo.
Yeah. And you know
Because when
what?
Andy Gray came to Goodison, it was like he's coming and his legs were knackered. But
Yeah. He was in the twilight of his career.
absolutely,
Let's have it right. But he was like he put his head in the people wouldn't even put the bodies. You know what I mean? Like he'd stick his head in there, and you'd be like, "My God, it's a wonder he hasn't got his head kicked off."
And they were in the days when you went down, you were actually injured. You didn't feign injury like they do these days. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I mean, football's moved on. It's a lot more skillful nowadays, but
a lot more bent team.
Yeah, I just think that back in them days, like it was more blood and thunder, weren't it? It was just like get stuck into them. You had Peter Reid and Steve McMahon going at it derbies. Do you know what I mean? And don't forget, Steve McMahon was an Evertonian, Peter Reid was a Red, and they both switched allegiances. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, but they had some fantastic battles, and Graham Souness was another one.
Yeah, you know, while we're on the subject there of Sharpie and Gray, were you made up, Mabsy, that he's gone back to Goodison at the weekend?
Good on him. Absolutely, should never have been exiled. I'm sorry, but it wasn't his fault. He had no control over what was going on, and I think the fans were wrong in that. They were just angry, I think, with the Mashiri era, weren't they? And I think taking out on Sharpie wasn't the answer.
The issue was he was on the board.
Come Sunday, he's probably going to be one of the legends who's going to be at the stadium anyway. So I'm only just saying this. Do you think he's come the week before so that he doesn't get any stick? I didn't think he would anyway. I think most people are nice people and they go, yeah, sorry about all that. If I called you whatever, I didn't mean it, kind of thing. But as you've just said, I've seen some fans in my time. I've travelled literally all over the place. But the creme de la creme of bitterness clearly has been Everton have been right up there. Definitely Champions League with bitterness over the years. Unbelievable.
But you know what? Right? What I will say about it, right? And I'm as chuffed as anybody the fact that he's come back. Right? He said he'd never come back, but he has. He's come back. But the crux of it is the fans are entitled to their opinions, right? And he stuck with, even though he knew that all this stuff that was coming out was a pack of lies, right? He chose his side, and that's why the fans got pissed off. He could have remained neutral and stayed in the middle and gone, look, I don't want no part of this. You know what I mean?
He might have done, he might have done.
But the fans didn't see it that way. Do you know what I mean?
No, they didn't. They didn't. But at the end of the day, he had no say in the ball. He was just there as a figurehead, to prop up the board. He had no real influence there. I don't think.
No, he was non-executive. He was a non-executive board member. But at the same time, like I said, he could have just either stepped down from his position and saying now and gone, I don't want no part of this. And then he nailed his colours to the mast on the side of the fans, and the fans wouldn't have gone against him. But instead, he didn't. He remained tight-lipped, as far as I'm aware. And then the fans were like, the whole board's to blame for that then. Do you know what I mean? All the pack of lies. So we got it.
I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, I'm made up. He's
Yeah.
back.
He shouldn't have been exiled from the club. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're right, Robbie. He probably did think, let's test the water here and see where we go. And yeah, we're he had nothing. We're a forgiving bunch, but he had nothing. I didn't think I had anything to say sorry for. To be brutally honest with you.
Well, I don't think he has apologised, does he?
No, well, he shouldn't have. What has he done? Nothing wrong.
Here's one from Emma.
Which
Head,
where's that?
headlock
Hang
gate.
on.
Headlock gate.
Headlock case.
Headlock gate. Bloody hell. Yeah, that
So
was something.
come on. Did it happen or did it not happen?
No, it
It
didn't
didn't
happen.
happen.
Not at all.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, so Emma's fault, obviously, fans are under the bus to go along with the headlock. Yeah, it was a lie. It was, if you accuse someone of putting in the headlock, there's CCTV around all Goodison Park. I'm not being funny. It was allegedly an overzealous hug. That's what I heard. It was someone a little bit pissed, just like a little bit drunk in the board one of the lounges, and it was just, as you do, and call it a headlock. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what we've got to realise is the 80s side went on the money that the modern day football players are. So maybe he was trapped for cash, and maybe taking that job was keeping them going.
He was at the
You know what
club
I'm
for
saying?
years, Mabsy. He was what was it, fans liaison officer.
Yeah,
His desk used to be next to my sister's.
really.
Yeah, like above the Everton club shop by the ground. And
Wow.
but she turned around and said he's a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? But like Emma said, he nailed his colours to the mast when he went along with the headlock. Like, but like I said, I'm glad he's back. He deserves to be back. He is a club legend, regardless of your feelings towards him. That goal in the derby will go down in history. Do you know what I mean? One of the best ever goals you'll ever see in the derby, up there with Phil Jagielka's. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a little. We've had a little chat about Sharpie there. Who was
See if we've got any more. So Kevin Kraft, not his, but his dad's. Bloody hell, went to Wembley in '66. Bloody hell. Sheffield Wednesday, you've seen the World Cup game. Yeah, well, you forget one of the few grounds host, you know what I mean? World Cup game.
Eusebio turned around and said it was his favourite ever ground, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he said he scored 4 goals at Goodison or something with Eusebio.
Yeah. That's amazing. Peter Duggan as the look. Second game. 3 years later, 25 against 2005 against United. Big dunk nod to the winner.
Oh, was that the shirt round the head, running down the pitch with that one? Get
Must have
bumped for
been.
that now, wouldn't he?
So while we're on the subject, because he's kind of up here, Big Dunk. Did he achieve all he wanted to, or was the red card sagas and whatever? He's just wrote his book. Has anyone read it yet?
No.
Well, it's in Costco, isn't it? Apparently, you can get it signed copy for like £12, so I might pop along.
In Costco?
Yeah.
He was at
yeah.
I know he was at
Wetherspoons
one in
last
WH
week.
Smith for
Was
£11.
he? Bloody hell.
He was signing them last week in Wetherspoons, wasn't he?
You messing? I missed that. Bloody hell.
No. Well, you know what? I probably wasn't far wrong when I said.
Yeah, it probably was. Probably Wetherspoons next door to Waterstones.
Yeah, my buddy went and had a photograph with him, and I often wondered if his head was being a little bit more. What's the word? I think he'd have done.
Switched
he'd have
on.
been far greater. Yeah.
But he was into his property, wasn't he? He loved his property, so I don't know what went wrong for him.
I think he's come
he
out
had, he had ADHD before ADHD was called ADHD.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
He's come out and said, didn't he? Because he liked his bevy and that back in the day. He said that's probably the reason why he was getting injured a lot, because he was drinking heavily after the games and stuff, and then going to training and whatnot. and he said he wasn't really in like peak physical condition at any given time. You know what I mean? So, and he regrets a lot of the stuff that he did in the past. And you know what? It takes a lot for someone to turn around and say you regret things in your life.
Yeah.
Wes, I'm gonna tell you now, he doesn't regret knocking the shit out of them bagels.
Yeah, well, fair play to him. Fair play to him, mate.
Not. Twice he got done.
They must have thought, oh shit.
You know?
So summary justice.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm assuming she's not talking about my ugly mug, but so must be referring to you two.
Well,
lovely to see these faces.
Oh, hi, Beckwell. Hi, Beckwell.
Hi, Becky.
Here's one for
Has anyone ever seen? Has anyone ever seen Duncan piss? By the way,
nah, I'd fucking love to. Oh,
he used to go to Reds on a Sunday night on the Edge Lane, by the hotel there, next to the hotel by the garage.
By the Devonshire.
By the Devonshire, yeah. And they used to be in there pretty much every Sunday night, bladdered.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
But you know what? The culture going back then, I'm not saying they weren't not athletes. The current crop after it's all they're all wired up, aren't they? Every time they play a game and every time they train, so they've got the statistics on them. But in them days, alcohol and playing footy it was kind of like
part and part, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
going back to that comment Peter made about him scoring the goal against Man United and running around the pitch. Apparently that night, because I think it was a Sunday game, if I remember rightly. So I remember that my mate was in Reds that night, and he walks in, and who's only in there on the table with his fucking top off in the middle of the nightclub, going, "Who the fucking hell's Man U?" Duncan fucking Ferguson, absolutely fucking caned off his face, and he went over me mate Bincher, top Evertonian, and he went, "All right, Duncan." He was like, "All right, big man," like that. I used to be in the Navy with him, and the next minute Pinch is like fucking having a big full on conversation with him, and he's over at the bar. Duncan Ferguson was buying pints and pints and pints.
Oh. I've met him once, and again, not compared to what you used to either. By any stretch, I met him at John Lennon Airport a few years ago, and obviously coming back from flight from Spain, and I got chatting to him. I absolutely top bloke, and then obviously some cop I had to ruin it. He goes, "I've had to sit behind him all bloody flight." Fuck off, mate.
Well, couldn't you see the front of the plane?
No, exactly. Yeah, he said he stayed in the back of his fucking head.
But do you know what amazes me about Duncan Ferguson, right, is that A, he got sent off a lot. B, he was always injured. But C, he goes down as a club legend.
Yeah.
For probably scoring the goal against the Red Shite in the derby. And was it Joe Royal's first game? I think it was Joe Royal's first game when we beat the Red Shite. And he scored the winner, I think. But anyway, he'd probably go down as a legend for that, and also for decking fucking Sammy Hippier or something like that, weren't he?
Along with every other centre half.
Aye.
Yeah. Franny Jeffers. Remember Franny Jeffers and Sandra Westerveld?
Yeah, Franny, just millionaire, mate, but just didn't do it for me.
You didn't like Franny?
I just, again, it was it was a young lad when he had his head turned, didn't he, by Arsenal. It was like, he did not. I just, flattered to deceive, but, it's just it's a matter of opinions. What's, I'll tell you, who's your favourite winger for Everton since 1977 in the first game?
For me, it's probably Kanchelskis.
You were going to say that?
It's Kanchelskis, or do you know who else I liked, right? And he never really got the limelight. It was Robert Fasisha.
Oh, the Polish fella, yeah.
He was rapid him.
You were too young for Davy Thomas then, weren't you?
I was too young for him, yeah.
I think he would have been your number one. I mean, if someone else has got I'd say Davy Thomas number one and Kanchelskis number two for me. Only in that era. I would have liked Kanchelskis to stay a bit longer. The only reason he didn't, which is fact, and I'm not talking fiction,
Gambling.
is the gambling. And every so often he had to move on to pay the debts, which is a shame because he was awesome for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a son on Twitter. Do you follow his son on Twitter?
No.
Andre Kanchelskis Jr.
He's a big blue, isn't he?
What?
Yeah. He's a massive blue, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a massive blue. Yeah. He
was
probably born in Liverpool, him.
Yeah.
If you go back and depending on how old he is. But yeah, for me, but you know what? Like I'm talking Premier League here, right? My favourite ever Everton player was Tim Cahill. Absolutely love Tim Cahill. Every time he pulled that shirt on, you get 150% out of him. Yeah. Every single time.
Yeah.
£1 million. What was it? I think he came from I think there was a team that thought it was £1 million was too much at the time. Everton snapped them up, didn't they?
Because he got to the FA Cup final that year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or the season before, and then Everton bought him the season after. But yeah, Roy, Rapid Vienna. I remember watching that at home. I was only younger then. My dad, I think my dad went to that cup final, and his mate got run over and killed over there. Vinny Waddy. Yeah.
Oh, that's the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Blue Skies is favourite. It was not his first game, but one of his favourites. It wasn't even at Goodison, but we're on the theme of Kanchelskis.
Yeah. And do you know this? The sad thing about it now, right? And I keep harping on about this, right? Is that you've got people now since 1995, this year, right? Coming up in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be people who are going to be 30 years of age since the last time we won a cup.
Mm. Yeah,
and that's grim, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's proper grim. A 30-year-old person now.
For a side like Everton, for a side like of our stature. Yeah.
How old are you, Babs?
41.
41. So you've seen Everton win things you've seen Everton win
the FA Cup and the league, yeah. Well, not 1987, so. But yeah.
Yeah. See, we fortunate to see them in the 80s, and I've seen them in 95, but I just think that to go this long without winning a cup for a team, size of Everton, people like to knock us down and say you're not a big club anymore. We are a big club. We're still a big club. We just haven't got the players. We're still one of the biggest clubs in Britain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're in trouble,
because we haven't won anything for a while that we're not a big club.
You're in trouble with Peter Duggan. Sourness.
Peter, I'm going to tell you the story here about Graham Souness, right? Tell everybody here, and tell everyone the story here about Graham Souness, right? Many years ago, right? I used to be a security guard for TJUs on the distribution warehouse, right? And they used to have these two guys who worked for MJ Quinn, who was subcontractors, and they used to come in and do they worked for themselves. They were self-employed. They done all alarm systems and fire systems and all that. And they got a job to Graham Souness's house, right? And he had this building in the grounds of his house, and he had all this artwork in this building, right? Like constables and all this, that, and the other, right? Mm. And he rang up MJ Quinn, right? And he said, now, and he said, I need somebody to come out and fix me alarm system. I'm on top of the range alarm system, top of the range fire system and all that. But don't send any scousers. Graham Souness, who made his fucking name through Liverpool Football Club, and he's saying don't send any scousers. And the last thing any scousers want to be fucking surrounded by constables anyway, would they? You know
what I mean? Brilliant.
But yeah, that's a true story. Honest to God.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Mark, there we go. 4-all in the FA Cup tie.
That was
to the shite.
1990, 91. And then we went on and won the replay, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Cottee. We were never ahead in that game, was we?
No.
Was that Tony Cottee's last goal for Everton? And he was on 99 goals or something.
Fucking hell.
He was a decent player.
Jesus.
Yeah, but his heart was in London anyway. And he still loves the Blues, like. But Kevin, don't bring up Barnby's Kev.
Oh, Judas Barnby.
Oh no, Kevin, you've gone and ruined the mood.
Kev will be getting his pitchforks as we speak, Kev.
You can't go mention Nick Barnby on here, Kevin. I forgot he even played for Everton.
Hey, I mean, noticing the numbers going up. So thanks for everyone watching. By the way, the two OAPs and the mid-range 40-year-old.
James then says, "Great show this." So I quite concur. Apart from me gate crashing it, like. But yeah,
I'll tell you a little story. I'll tell you a story about '95, and let our viewers be the judge of what happened at the end. So I was asked by someone at Goodison would I like to go to the final. What's the answer?
Well, yeah, fucking hell, yeah.
Of course. The person said to me, "We'll be going down early morning, early doors, day of the game. 2 coaches, and we'll be staying over. So win or lose, we're going to the after party."
Fuck off.
Is this good so far?
Yeah, go on, absolutely, keep going.
I've heard the story, so I know what this.
So I said to her, so like at the after party, I said, so what's the screen? Yeah, we're coming home the next day. Yeah, no problem. I said, so like where are we staying? Oh, we're staying in such and such a hotel. I said, yeah, great. I said, how many rooms? She went, 1. I went, oh, right, okay. How's that going to work? And she went, well, I don't want paying for the tickets. This is like $1,000,000,000%.
Anyway.
This is the story. This is the creme de la creme. I don't want paying. You don't have to pay for the ticket, but the whole day. But obviously, I said, what do you mean, So the conversation went a little bit further. So the question to the viewers out there tonight is, did Robbie go to the final in 1995?
Are you ever going to tell us?
Or did he not? So I'll leave it till the end. So see what people think. Did he go or did he not go?
So
basically,
did he go?
Robbie was going to have to take one for the team.
Quite literally.
To get his ticket. Yeah. And everything was paid for.
Were you married?
Drink, I wanted for nothing. Yeah.
So you were married.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that the viewers might not know, but in Robbie's former job, Robbie used to work at Goodison, didn't you, Rob, in a certain capacity? And have you got any stories about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really mentioned it before, but and I probably watched the viewers go down to about 3 or 4 now. I was a police officer, police. Yeah, no, I created a character called Robbie the Bobby. I joined the police, and they were sending me to Kirby, and I said to the girl, I phoned her up and I said, "Can you just tell me?" She said, "You going to C Division?" And I said, "Where's C Division?" She said, "It's Walton Lane, Lower Lane, or Kirby." And I said, "Where am I going?" She said, "Kirby." I went, "Kirby? I don't even know where Kirby is." And she said, "Why? Where did you want to go?" I said, "Well, I'm joining the police because, like, I want to go. I want to do the Everton games and whatever." And she went, "Well, you'll have to go to Walton Lane." And I said, "So how do I get to Walton Lane?" And she said, "It's a box of black magic." And I went, "No problem." I said, "I'll bring you a box of black magic in next week." And she said, "And I've got 2 friends." I said, "I'll bring 3 boxes of black magic in." I got posted to Walton Lane, and within 2 years, I was doing the Everton games. And after 4 years, I was traveling home and away with the Blues, and like it was behind the scenes. And apart from that, then I was looking after the referee on a match day, so you'd get to see what was going on behind the scenes. And it's kind of like what goes on tour stays on tour. Mate, boys, when Moisey came first time, like all you could hear was him like, he's a different person now. He's mellowed. He's still he's not daft. You know what I mean? He knows the score, but the first time round, oh, he was on everyone's case. I mean, you couldn't move left or right. He was, and I was so you're pit side, and you're right next to him. So anytime an Ichibi or any of the others was making a mistake, oh, he was ridiculing them on the sidelines. And then you get into that time, and if Everton was shite in the first half, I mean, it was like you could hear him. I mean, I was halfway down the tunnel, and he's got a door closed, and I can still hear what he was talking about or shouting about. So Moisey, well, you know what? I tell you, he was one of the nicest guys to grace Goodison Park behind the scenes and also on the pitch was Duncan McKenzie.
Yeah,
he was an absolute gent. I had the pleasure of socialising with him on lots of occasions, and I tell you, he was a cracker. Davy Johnson. I know he played for the other side as well. Absolute gent. Absolute gent. Brian LeBone was an absolute gent. I was lucky to go on a Friday afternoon with the wife in Old Hall Street and go and have a pint with him and talk about Everton. How lucky was I? Because he was my little boyhood hero. Because I was at Wavertree Park, and they used to do it was called the Liverpool Show, and I was there. I think it was about 8 or 9, and I saw him and Ian St. John. They were just standing there. So I had the autograph book because he used to collect autographs. And I went up to Brian LeBone and I asked him for the autograph, and he had a photograph with him. I asked the other fella, and he told me where to go. So Brian LeBone got on his case and went, "You can't say that. He's a little boy. You can't be talking to him like that." So for me, Brian LeBone was like a little hero because he stuck up for me when someone was treating me like not so nice.
Nobody. Yeah, but you must have some goss. Come on.
I've seen Duncan. I've seen our Duncan, not drunken. I've seen our Duncan Ferguson drinking from a hip flask at half time before he goes on the pitch.
Brilliant.
Like, I've seen our Duncan with Alan Shearer in a headlock.
Oh yeah.
What was that? A natural headlock though, or just a?
Well, Alan Shearer.
It was a made up one.
No, yeah, he was the main man at Newcastle, so he was the boss. Everything ran through him. But when Duncan went, that wasn't the case. So, because you get, it's as in life, you get personalities, don't you? You get strong personalities, and you get people who just go along with it and whatever. Duncan was probably one of the biggest forces to be reckoned with. Everyone still talks about him, don't they? You'll have after dinner speakers, and they've all got a story about Duncan.
Yeah,
he's got something about him.
I was watching an interview with him. I was watching the interview with him the other day, and he was saying they asked. I'm not going to mention the podcast or whatever, or the TV channel, but he was having an interview with them, and they asked him like what he felt like when he came back, and basically he said, when I left Newcastle, I basically writ off because he was on 40 grand a week at Newcastle, and he came back to Everton for 20 grand a week. You know what I mean? He said that I left it all as soon as I knew Everton was coming back in for me, and that was obviously Bill Kenwright's thing. You know what I mean? That was it, like and appease the fans signing, wasn't it? But it just showed. I was at his testimonial. Did anyone go to his testimonial, Duncan Ferguson's?
No.
I was at his testimonial, and at the end,
what year was that?
He was in tears on the microphone, in tears. Rudy played in that as well. What?
You going back in what year? What year was that?
2000s, isn't it?
Oh yeah, bloody hell! I can't even remember how far back that was.
Yeah, that's one for the Googlers. Google
that. He's 50. He's 50 now. When did he decide? He decided it quite early, didn't he? He decided when he was about 34, 35, didn't he? So he's got to be 15 years. But yeah, he was on the microphone at the end, talking to the fans that were there, and he was in tears, the fella. See what I mean? And but he scored his last kick at Everton was a penalty, and it was saved in the derby, wasn't it? And he scored it, and he's Man United, sorry, and he scored the rebound off the keeper.
Here's one, Mr. Blue Skies. I've only met Gaza. You just keep forgetting these players fucking played for us.
His sister had a lot to do with Gaza.
Yeah, I never met him, but I was side by side with him when I was doing the tunnel. You know what I mean? And he was
Nuts.
just. I'd like to say he was a character because you know what? He'd have everyone laughing.
Yeah.
So he was the class clown type of thing. But you know when he in training that time when he had the David
Yeah.
Ginola one day, but on a Tuesday, David Ginola. And he had the wig on and he's training with him, isn't he? He was just he was a cracking piss take for me. He
Yeah.
was. You could see how everyone the mood was much better when he was around.
Yeah. My sister turned around and said he was such a nice guy, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he'd
yeah.
do anything for anybody.
He did loads
You
for
know.
charity,
He
loads.
said the biggest one, and I've seen an interview with Alan Stubbs about this. My sister was telling me Thomas Gravison used to turn up in a big leather fucking Matrix coat, right? Big long leather fucking Matrix coat in a Nissan Micra, right? All the money he had, and he used to turn up in a Nissan Micra. Said,
He's gambling now, isn't he? Poker player in Vegas. Gravison.
Is he?
Yeah.
didn't I hear something? Didn't I hear something that he was one of the best in the world at Call of Duty or something? I know
Probably.
his missus a porn star, weren't she?
Was she? Fucking hell.
Yeah. Married the porn star, yeah.
Fucking lived the life in, didn't he?
Oh, he's a nutter, absolute nutter.
It was the
I
luck,
think
wasn't it?
I think everybody was surprised when Real Madrid signed him. And I was like, "You sure you got the right player there?"
Yeah,
But
Leighton
what a
Baines.
character he was.
Leighton Baines.
Leighton Baines, what a player.
Baines.
But
Yeah, he
you
stayed
know
loyal.
what?
He stayed loyal.
Leighton Baines still never had a better left foot than Kevin Sheedy. Not a chance. Kevin Sheedy, the best left foot I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, Eugene Kenny Sheedy. Is that his cousin?
Right, lads, I think that's running out of right comments, aren't we? Or we'll go through Cahill. Well, you mentioned Cahill before.
Yeah.
Rooney
I think he
Rooney
should
scoring
have
at
a
home
legend
for
stone.
Arsenal.
Yeah. I think
So we got to.
there's been such great moments, and even the the relegation scraps in the 90s, like them moments will live with you forever, because it was like I don't know whether it's just me this year, but like the league's just being fucking boring, hasn't it? There's only now that like that them Champions League specs that they're fighting over any excitements in the league.
Well, it's done, innit? Rest of the league.
Yeah, it's fucking gone boring.
You'll see a
You want a
breakaway.
title challenge, don't you? What, mate?
In our lifetime, we'll see a breakaway. You can see it happening, can't you? They're all going to America for the Premiership games. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Have we mentioned the big guy? We haven't mentioned him.
Big Nev.
Big Nev. Yeah, he wasn't well the other week, was he?
I don't know.
Yeah, you know what, Mabsy? It's difficult to. It'd be you'd have to have a Guinness Book of Records stream, wouldn't you, to mention everyone?
Yeah, you would. But Big Nev does deserve a mention just because of how he held himself. Like he was just an ordinary man. Like he used to feel it when Everton were playing terrible. We've all seen that, the half time sitting down on the posts and all that. Do you know what I mean? We've all seen them images. But he cared. And all the players then back in the 80s, they all cared about the club. That's the difference between football players now and football players then. Whether it be when Robbie first started going or when I first started going. But since the Premier League era, it's all just been about the money.
Yeah.
Players don't really care about clubs anymore. You only got to look across the park. The other fella, do you know what I mean? Leaving to go to Real Madrid.
They were on a win bonus then, though, weren't they? it was like it was a basic wage, and then they got a win bonus, and then if you scored the goal, everything was linked in, wasn't it, to your contract? But now it's just astronomical amounts of money, isn't it? I don't particularly like the way it is. The PSR that put us off, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just summed it up.
In a way, it's ruined the game. But in another way, you don't want teams like Newcastle who've got infinite amounts of cash to go out and spend on the best players, and they just run away with the league year after year after year. Do you know what I mean? So in that way, it's good. It's a good thing. But in the other way, if you've got the money to be able to spend on players, then you should be able to spend it. Do you know what I mean? And go and get it, but within certain constraints. I think that 105 is outdated. I think that should be, come up in line with inflation and stuff like that, cost of living. I think that should be increased to maybe 150 million or something like that. You know what I mean? Because every club now has got a billionaire owner, haven't they?
And foreign, really, as well. Few and far between.
See, it shows you the times, doesn't it? Because there used to be millionaire owners, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because it's so big now, they're all billionaires. Here's one for you, because I'm sure we're going to leave soon. Why Everton? Are we different, or is it just?
What do you mean? Why Everton?
Is it the shirt? Why? The press. A lot of the press don't like us, do they? So we're kind of. I went to my first game and it was 0-0, and really I should have gone. I'll tell you what, I should have gone and strike someone else, but I didn't. I've stuck with it. We've stuck with it through thick and thin, and the likes of your 30-year-olds, they've stuck with us and they've seen nothing.
Yeah,
you might win the derby, or you might get a lucky away win in London. What I'm seeing now is, hopefully, in my opinion, the tide changing, that we've had some really serious problems over the last few decades, and this new ground and the new owners, and all of a sudden we're going to be that up there, because they don't talk about the Super Six anymore, do they? Because two of them are shit.
Yeah, and do you know what? What I would say is, right, since now there was, obviously everybody knows the past few years, right? There's been a disconnect between the board, the club, the fan base, and the players, right? Moyes has come in and galvanised everybody. The new owners have come in, galvanised everybody, and everybody's got each other's backs. Does it feel like that way to you going the match, Mabsy?
Yeah, definitely a cloud has lifted. Everyone seems a lot happier. Even not even Twitter, to be fair, because Twitter's still, in its own league with the amount. But yeah, you know what? I was like, I want Moyes back, 6 months contract. Why be offering him 2 year deal? I'll hold my hands up and I'll say absolutely wrong in that. So, you know what I mean? He has. It's kind of like he hasn't been away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just feels. Yeah, he knows us. He knows in and out. He created this structure, and it's just like he hasn't been away. He's got that structure back in a way. Obviously, times have moved on. He's got grey hair now, not red there, but
But you can also see, since he's come in, right now, obviously managers have come and gone, and probably since Carlo, right, and before Carlo and after Carlo, we didn't really have a style of play.
No.
But now we've come in, and Moyes has come in, and you can see the style he's playing. Do you know what I mean? It might not be the most exciting, but it gets results. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're having more of the ball for starters. Where under Dyche, a lot of these teams we'd be playing against them, and we'd have like 15-20% possession and let them have the ball and sit back and hope for the best. But at least with Moyes, you can see he wants us to go forward. Do you know what I mean?
Peter,
I think that sums it up perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've summed it up. You've summed it up for me. I was trying to put it into words, and it's not easy when you're just thinking about it in your head. Like, why Everton? Yeah, I'll have that, mate. Well done.
Right, should we wrap it up, lads? So come on, we're waiting for the end of your story. I don't
Yeah.
think you did.
Okay, we'll save that one for another stream then. So
No,
maybe
you,
sometime in the future.
oh,
Did
another
Robbie go
stream.
in '95? Did he go in '95 or did he not?
So are you committing to another stream then?
He's
Well,
leaving
we'll
you in
see. Right?
suspenders.
We'll see. Like when they make a top series, they leave it
Fair
on a
enough.
knife edge at the end, don't they? And they go, "Oh my god,
To be
this is going to make
continued.
another one."
Yeah, fair enough.
Can't wait
Right,
to see
anyway, I think
32.
it's been a really good stream, lads. Thanks for you coming back, and you're more than welcome whenever. Yeah.
Thanks for all your
Yeah,
comments.
Hey.
It's lovely to see you all again.
Aye.
well done on the baby. Well done on the baby, Jazz and Ryan. Well done on the
Yeah,
baby.
well done.
Yeah. See you
See the baby
later.
today. He's got lovely big blue
All the
eyes.
best. Da, 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 da.